So we are live now. Those who are watching the recordings, as usual, you need to go to the 10th or 12th minutes in the timeline to see the actual recording. Hi Raki, good morning. Hi Vikrant, good morning. How is the audio? Yeah, great. Thank you. Hi Tulika, good morning. Good morning to you. Welcome to the session. So how is it going? Everything is fine for all of you? No stress, right? Hi Prasida, good morning. It's now 6:02. So we'll start as usual at 6:06, 6:05. Hi Minu, good morning. Good morning Nandini. Welcome to the session. Just spare me for a few seconds. I think some tap is on outside. I need to just close it and come. Thank you. Hi, good morning SP. Welcome to the session. No, it's I think guitar, Tulika. The music is a guitar. You see on the screen there are options, right? So this is actually a great app. You must try Insight. This app is called Insight. INSIGHT. So this is a meditation tool. So there are actually ambient sounds, beautiful sounds. For example, this is another type of guitar, it seems, and you have the rain sound also here. And just yeah, can you hear the rain sound? This is just water flowing, wave sound. Bird sound. Yeah. So while explaining this, actually we came to the time for the silence. It's 6:06 now. So we'll have ambient sound of fire. Since it's winter in the north specifically, so let's have a feeling of fire around us in our mind. Good morning. Today is the fifth day. So it's a 9-day course. On that note, let me share something to before I start. Uh, you must be aware about this term called Virtue. Now, V is violet, I is indigo, B is blue, G is green, Y is yellow, O is orange, R is red. So these are the 7 colors of rainbow, right? So if you mix all these colors, it becomes white. If you take out all these colors, it becomes black. Right? So combination of all these colors is white. Absence of these colors is black. So right, now let's see what physics says about these colors. So these colors do have frequencies, and the red is the least frequency and violet is the highest frequency. So frequency means the speed. Frequency means the speed. So that means the red is the slowest color and violet is the fastest color, violet, and red is the slowest color. Isn't that? Like red, that's why in the traffic signal they use red so that it stays in our eyes longer. From far also it should be visible. So it's a very slow color and it stays longer because of the slow speed. You need to understand the physics and try and understand that form and formless phenomena. E equals to mc square. Higher the speed, the possibility of converting the form into formless is higher. Right? So speed is closer to the spirit. Spirit is formless. Now that's why violet is considered as a spiritual color. We know that. Now this is not the point. This is all known facts. But what I am trying to bring into your notice is, you go down from the violet, and go up from the red. You reach the middle point as green, and green is the neutral color. And neutral is the best in this universe. No to negative, no to positive. Because anything you enforce, be it negative or positive, that becomes a negative only. And neutral has got its own growth inside, inbuilt. And look around. Look around, all the neutrals that you see are green. All the trees, all the flora fauna are covered with green. So this universe is the green. This universe is the neutral. And what was the connection why I thought to share this is, today is the 5th day. Today is the 5th day. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So today is that green day, 5th day. So, and this transient state, which is neither sleeping nor awaken, today is that day, the 5th day, the day for philosophy. And philosophy forms our basis. and we do have all our philosophies in uniquely built. The foundation could be similar. The foundation of the philosophies, individual philosophies, may overlap with each other, but as mankind, we should develop our unique philosophy. And that is the real cognitive growth that we achieve. So on that note, let's proceed. Yeah, definitely, SP. As SP rightly pointed out, that red has got the longest wavelength, and longest wavelength means shortest speed, frequency. So I have focused on the frequency because frequency is easily understandable with the speed, right? Yeah, SP, wavelength. So today is a day of philosophy. We so far what we have done the revision of the basics of nature cure science, and then 2 days of dialectical understanding, dialectical analysis, rational analysis. Now see the philosophy. What is this philosophy? Philosophy is the foundation behind all of our actions. And as mankind, the ideal action rather, should start with proper understanding. And that is the flow of this design of this course, that unless we develop a knack of understanding, knack of contemplation, the philosophy is never built. And we are here to modify our philosophy for our good. And that is the reason why we spent 2 days on analyzing the things. Now let's look at the philosophy built, how it is being built. Now, yeah, there is an interruption. SP says, how about others, the audio and video reception? It is being received well at my end. SP, if you are listening to me, if you can just go out of the class and come back again, that may repair the things. Can other confirm if they're okay? Prasida says all good. Yeah, hi Minu. Yeah, going good. After restart, it's working now. Okay, fine. Great. So we were talking about the philosophy, the development of the philosophy, because philosophy is an achievement. It's a human achievement rather of developing a human knack rather. Now, yeah, definitely the dialectical science is the basis for an ideal philosophy. Unless we question and question and question, we cannot develop our own evaluating capability. We should not depend on the evaluating capability of others, be it anybody. That's the core of dialectical science. We know by now. And we know the basis of materialism also. In your note, actually, you'll find dialectical materialism, this word, which I have actually modified on the slide as dialectical science and materialism. Because dialectical materialism, if you Google, you will find a lot of references of some specific political initiative. So nature cure philosophy, the foundation of nature cure, is not on that political foundation. This is a kind of uh, independent persuasion of the philosophy. So dialectical science is the basis of it, and materialism is understanding of it. Because we have already discussed that the matter is the most important aspect to maintain our health and happiness. Without negating the importance of spirituality, the matters is at the top of it. Unless the matter is managed well, even the spirituality cannot be attained effortlessly. So we had those examples of ABC on the first day. That day actually we were not using notepad. So let me just share a few glimpses that if we take three cases, one is matter management, other is spiritual management or mind management, whatever you call, and C is both management. Now A is a typical case of a child, you can say, whose cognition is not arrived yet. So the mind management is not that way achieved by the individual. So for a child, if you change the food, the matter, you'll find the health is deteriorating. But somehow if you convince the child and change the matter for good, we know what it means, right? The good matters means the right food which doesn't cost much. The right food needs just wisdom, not the cost. So if you change that, then you will find a better health for the child. We know this by now. So case A is easily understandable. Now case B is easily correlatable. If you just look around, maybe in the history or present, you will find there are many spiritual leaders had tremendous control over mind power, but suffered physical health problem. They may interpret it that they did not bother for the physical health. To my understanding, that is again a stupidity, because if they would have maintained the physical health, they would have done a lot more in the spiritual attainment also, because it's all depending and connecting to the wellness of the physical existence that we have, and we cannot deny the physical existence. Even in my courses, people they have joined for bettering their health, despite they have quite a lot achievement in the mind management section. So that proves that only mind management doesn't work. Only the spiritual management will not work for your wellness. So we understand this B. Now if we compare A and B, we'll find that A is a far better choice if you are in a hypothetical condition, if you are asked to choose only one. We should choose A only. And that is why it is materialism. This whole philosophy is based on understanding the matter well. Definitely, the materialism doesn't mean considering the man-made matters at top of it. We need to understand that. And definitely the C is the best if we can manage both the matter aspect and the mind or spiritual aspect. So because this is very important to understand, because we are approaching our wellness in a holistic path. So the both management is one thing that we need to understand. So this is what dialectical science and materialism. Now, before going to the articles of the day, which will be live at 7 o'clock sharp on your Facebook page, Facebook group, we must talk about the conventional understanding of philosophy. So if we look at the conventional understanding of philosophy, we'll find there are primary three buckets. One is the socialism, other is the capitalism, and the third one is the mysticism. Socialism, capitalism, and mysticism. And if you go and explore these all buckets, these all verticals of philosophy, you will find a lot of goodness in each philosophy. In each philosophy. And here we are practicing to extract the goodnesses. We will not discuss the malpractices or the flaws in those systems. Whatever the good that we see, if we can extract, because here we are not to philosophize things, because it is the self-oriented approach that we have opted to better our health and happiness. So it doesn't matter what a group of people follows. If something good is there in their followings, why not to take up that, irrespective of the nomenclatures of the group. So let's see how the goodness prevails in each of these verticals. Socialism. Now the socialism based on the equality between mankind, because it talks about the equal distribution of the wealth. Now if we can extract that portion only, that equal distribution of the wealth, and if we interpret right way the wealth, then the wealth is abundance. It is not limited to the man-made wealth as we commonly understand. So the natural wealth is available for everybody. That day I was seeing in here only, a person is using a common space in a society for his own farming. He is doing a kitchen garden in a common space, and I personally appreciate that. It could be objected as a community. That day actually I was discussing with Rakhi that why not we go for farming wherever we find a land. Let's not think about the ownership. Let's start farming. Have you watched this movie Three Idiots, where a person like the protagonist, the Rancho, is proposing to a kid in the engineering college who works for daily this thing, odd works so called, that pressing and all this, I forgot the name, millimeter. He used to be called as millimeter, So he was proposing him that why don't you go to school? Then he answered, how can I go to school? I don't have money. Then he said that you don't need money to attend a school. You need uniform. Go and purchase a uniform and go to the school, whatever the school you like. Then that child got shocked. He's saying that if I'm caught, then he proposes a simple solution. There is an easy solution, another school, another uniform, another studying, learning. So that way, if we go on corping in an open land, if we go on farming on an open land, what is the harm? Because the wealth is abundance. The moment the owner comes and says that don't farm here, we'll go for another piece of land. What is the problem? The fresh air that will be produced by that farming cannot be restricted in that quotation of the farm. Right? So yeah, so the wealth is abundance, and the socialism talks about the equal distribution of the wealth. How beautiful it is. And it is very much congruent with the understanding of law of unity. Isn't that? Now let's talk about, yeah, Nandini. That's what. So you just need a piece of land, not the ownership for farming. So ownership is a human introduced aspect. So you need not to bother for that as far as the individual wellness is concerned. So yeah, capitalism. Now capitalism says that the wealth should be given to the person who performs more. So more wealth to a person who performs more. That's the basis of the capitalism. So if you perform better, then you reap the benefit better. That's the core of this capitalism. Now just correlate the understanding of the voice of the organism here. If you listen to the voice of the organism and react syncing with nature, then you will reap the benefits more than a person who is not doing that. Isn't that? So this is very much congruent with the understandings of ours. Now let's talk about the mysticism. The mysticism is a way of reaching higher cognition. The mysticism is a way of reaching higher cognition. And the concept of higher self is very much prevalent in all the practices of mysticism. So all the so-called God is interpreted as the higher self of yours. So what does it mean? Actually, you create a higher self of yours and you aspire to achieve that. And how beautiful is that? It is nothing but expansion of yourself to a created higher self, and try to achieve, mentally transporting yourself to that space and try to achieve and assimilate. How beautiful is that? Now, there is another newly developed culture is termed as giftism, where gifts are being practiced abundantly. There are a lot of practices happening around the world based on this ideology. Let's understand what is gift. Gift is an expression. Gift is an expression of love, which is the most beautiful expression of life. And if you can expand yourself to each and every one around, visible or invisible, invisible in the sense like not around but away, how beautiful would that be? So gift is nothing but expression of love. So let's assimilate that. So if we can assimilate all these aspects, all the goodnesses of these all philosophies, then we'll arrive at a foundation of our own individually, uniquely. That's what is the objective of the philosophy. A group cannot be claimed as having a common philosophy for the group. It is a myth if we consider that. A group can form a group on the basis of skill, but not on the basis of philosophy. Because philosophy is an entity which is owned by individual. The moment we consider that a group will have a common philosophy, we actually negate the existence of the individual. So this is very alarming understanding actually of the philosophy. Right, so that's the introduction of philosophy. Now let's go to the topics of today's articles. Yeah, so you'll be getting these six condensed articles today. The core philosophy that I have just shared, and the second article is dialectics and non-violence. The third article is ethical dissonance and compassionate integrity. Fourth is philanthropy, ethics, etc., and the truth. Fifth is what to do versus what not to do. And sixth is a kind of as per length, it is a bigger article, the biggest article of the lot. Why is an act of evil an illusion? Why is an act of evil is an illusion? So let's start with the dialectics and non-violence. So I'll be giving you just a glimpse of the article, but the actual article needs to be read by you. Because if I go on explaining each and all the aspects of the article, that will be injustice to your skill of contemplation. So yeah, nature cure science is claimed to be a non-violent science. And what is the dialectics of this non-violence? Before understanding the violence, we need to understand the meaning of integrity. The meaning of integrity is congruence between thoughts and actions. The meaning of integrity is the congruence between thoughts and action. Now, if we do not bring a congruence in sync between the thoughts and the action, we end up innervating ourselves. That consumes a lot of vitality. So, if we think in a certain pattern, we should act in the same pattern. If we do not bring that similarity, that actually confuses our beyond conscious portion. Because we need to understand the conscious and beyond conscious portion has got a massive difference in the size of it. The conscious portion is very tiny little in respect to the beyond conscious massiveness. Now, if we do not understand the mechanism of the beyond conscious, we actually end up eating up our own vitality a lot. So here we are not talking about neglecting the conscious existence, because this foundation of this philosophy is on the foundation of the reasoning capability, which is a conscious action. So we need to use the reasoning capability to bring the congruence between conscious and beyond conscious. Now, if you think and start believing on something consciously, there is a congruence between the conscious and beyond conscious, because the understanding is a conscious action, but the moment it becomes your belief, it merges with the beyond conscious. Now, having that congruence here, then acting something else will confuse the beyond conscious portion. And that confusion will eat up a lot of vitality, because the confusion raises millions of questions consciously and beyond consciously, questioning yourself. That's a journey. So, more we bring the integrity, better for our vitality conservation. The truth. So, if I ask you that how many fingers, and give me a wrong answer. If I ask you how many fingers and give me a wrong answer, you all will be giving, all the chances are there that all of you will be giving different answers. The wrong answer could be 3 fingers, 518 finger, whatever, right? Now if I ask you how many fingers, give me a right answer, you all will be giving 1. And that's the beauty of the truth. The difference between truth and false are that the truth is unique. It cannot be replaced. The false statement can vary, but the true cannot vary. That's the beauty of the truth. Now, this truth, understanding of the truth, is very much congruent consciously and beyond consciously. So your beyond conscious existence is very much aware about that unique pattern of truth. And all of us know the truth actually. Just the problem comes when we do not practice the truth because of that lack of integrity. So, understanding of truth is very important because of its uniqueness. Yeah, the mind, conscious and beyond, that we discussed. So we need to understand the gravity of bringing alignment between conscious and beyond, so that the conservation of the vitality is more. That's the only goal that we have. Yeah, spirituality, actually. Spirituality is definitely a reality. The dialectic route of nature cure is, for unknown reasons actually, is often blamed that it is a non-spiritual path. But in my research, I did not find so. It is absolutely spiritual path. Just that we don't conclude the spiritual experiences supernaturally, because it is nature cure. So those are natural. Maybe at the present level of comprehension, we are not able to explain that. That's true. So all these emergences do have a dialectics, And what is this emergence? Emergence is something comes suddenly, which you cannot give explanation instantly. For example, suppose I am searching for the remote of this TV, which was lying here, but I was not able to see it. I was not able to notice it. I was able to see it, but I was not able to notice it because I am engaged in some other thoughts in the mind, which is actually blocking the conscious sight of this remote. Right? Now, if you inculcate a habit of consistent conservation of vitality, you will have a lot of conserved vitality within you. And with that conserved vitality, so the sight of this remote is a sensory achievement. The sight of this remote is a sensory achievement for me. Now, my senses need vitality support. Now, if I have a lot of vitality in my reserve, is it non-dialectic to claim that the sensory perception will go up? It is not, right? And that is called ESPs, extra sensory perceptions. The achievement of ESPs is very much dialectic in the root of the vitality conservation. There is no supernatural about it. Now, knowingly, unknowingly, if we conserve vitality, we may achieve this and we may experience so-called spiritual experiences. And those are absolutely unique experience. Now, if you can give the route to achieve that, how did you achieve this? Then making it public is absolutely fine. But if you cannot give that, you just have a gut feeling, you just have an instinct, and you don't know how you achieve that, please do not claim that. Because claiming that will confuse people and you both. The moment you claim that you have some magical power within, the people will stop believing in the logic, and which is absolutely unscientific. There is certain logic, scientific logic behind all the magics backstage. All the magician accept that and claims that, proclaims that before starting the show, that everything has got scientific support, just that we are not disclosing because we are professional magician. So this is very important understanding about the spirituality. Because the relevance of each of your unique experience actually stays relevant if it is experienced by you, nobody else. No matter how big claims I make about my spiritual experiences, how would it benefit you unless you experience yourself? So you need to understand these all experiences are very much personal experiences. So non-disclosure of these personal experiences is a better idea. Just enjoy it for yourself. Disclose the dialectic explanations which you can give to the people for their reasoning capability satiation. We need to satiate the innate program of the reasoning capability of the person. We are not here to show magic. That's a different profession altogether, which comes with a disclaimer. Why we actually consider that the conscious existence play a havoc role on our beyond conscious mechanism. So understanding this congruence is very much important of conscious and beyond conscious. Because the supply of a big chunk of the beyond conscious is from our conscious mind. And it engages big time. And if it engages irrationally, then we suffer the blow. Because lot of questions, you cannot actually sway all the questions that is raised in your beyond conscious. We suffer the blow just. So we need to actually be very conscious to choose our conscious decisions, because that has got a lot of influence on the beyond conscious aspect. This is very important understanding. Now coming to the violence. So see, the violence is non-integrity, that non-alignment. What is non-alignment? Any act which takes more vitality than what it should take is a violent act. And you take any example of violence that takes a lot of vitality from the individual who is initiating that violence at the first place. It's a different discussion altogether of the impact of the violence, but the person who is initiating the violence is the most sufferer. And here it is just individualistic approach. Here we are not stepping forward to change the world. Here every step is self-directed. My next step, whether it is beneficial for me, when I say beneficial for me, whether that step is contributing towards my vitality conservation or not, that is the single question that we have to ask ourselves before taking any step. So if we understand the gravity of the problem of initiating a violence, then at the first place, we should stop creating violence before criticizing others. And we cannot resort to any excuses saying that I had been pushed to be violent. Because it is your life, your choice. You cannot give excuses that that person initiated that and that is the reason I had to be violent. This is a stupid explanation of spoiling yourself. Because others' life cannot control my inner state, my homeostasis, my neutrality. If it is affecting, then there is some problem in my rational understanding of the health. I need to go back to the foundation and correct it so that I don't react the way I was reacting. No matter, just bring any examples for the same. Violence, if it is initiated for any reason, it is going negative for us, for our health, happiness, overall wellness. So read that article and reflect. Yeah. So going good? If you need a break, then just do let me know. It's around 50 minutes we covered. No comments from you guys. So I'll proceed with the next. Next article is available here. Yeah, here comes a question from Prasida. When you are attacked, then also no violence. So when you are attacked, what is your objective? To save yourself, right? So saving can be a non-violent approach. If we put a condition of we being violent because the other person is violent, isn't that an irrational conclusion? Think about that and contemplate and reflect. So now next article is ethical dissonance and compassionate integrity. You know, so I explained there are three scenes. If you see, actually, in reality, actually, I met one of my vegan friend who was purchasing some that mosquito net of killing mosquito. That led me thinking: is it in this ethical decision, because veganism is an ethical decision, you know, that will not will opt non-violence to all the creatures, all the organisms. So how is that different for a mosquito? I did not ask him overtly, but that led me to some contemplation. The next scene was a vegetarian friend who chose vegetarianism to opt non-violence against animal. So that was a vegan friend. Now this person is again the non-violence. It's not just killing the organism, but as a whole non-violence. And he was in marriage counselor's office for being accused of beating his wife badly. The scene 3 was I met this secular Indian nationalist who I found very much rational in identifying that there is no difference between any religion. We all are same. But he was giving a burning speech against Chinese on how bad are they. Do you see a disconnect in all these scenes? In the language of psychology, we call it dissonance. Dissonance is the lack of integrity. When we know something wrong, but we are doing that, that state of mind is called dissonance state of mind. I see some comment from SP. Your philosophy is really interesting, which we can realize only for we make it our own experience. Right, so here actually we are discussing the kind of knack that we can develop to build our philosophy. Here it's not about my philosophy, SP, but here we are discussing about a route, a framework to build our own philosophy. So there is no proposal or kind of glamorizing any individual philosophy. Just for clarity, I would like to mention. So I was talking about these three scenes of veganism, vegetarianism, and secularism. So, and we saw the mismatching of the alignment, the dissonances. So, ethical imposition is another problem. We discussed about this. Ethical imposition, because ethic changes according to the situation. So, if we feel pride about our ethics, that's a shallow claim. Ethic is a state which should emerge from within, out of your dialectical decisions. The people can term you ethical, but your claiming of being ethical will be non-dialectic. People can perceive you or term you ethical, but your personal claiming that I am an ethical person is a non-dialectic claim. Think about that. So, intention is definitely a key player which pushes our actions. So, you need to be very clear about the intention. Like for example, if you see a lion killing a goat, from the perception of the goat, it is killing, it is violent, it is a violent act, but no lion has this enmity. All these stories that because I'm very much aware about exposing any stories to Montage, because those all are human interpretations, where rabbit comes to a lion and talks to the lion, and lion answered this way. So all these stories are human interpretation. So there is no enmity in the mind of lion. It's just food. It's just food for a lion. So what matters is the intention. As I personally practice, that I'll not hit a mosquito. Unknowingly, sometime I hit, but consciously I try not to hit, because killing that particular mosquito will not reduce the number of mosquitoes, number one. But the harm that I will be making, that by a reflex also I am having that intention to kill. What I do, if the mosquito bites, I try to push it. So this is just an example where we can actually watch our intention, knowingly or unknowingly, if we are doing something harm as far as the vitality conservation is concerned. This is very important aspect. We need to watch our intentions very closely, analytically, dialectically. And action speaks about the intention often. The human actions I'm talking about. What about compassion? That's an obvious question, right? So can't we have compassion for others? Let's dive deep to understand what is compassion. Is it an imposed characteristic of us, or it is a realized, evolved characteristic of us? It is an evolved characteristic, right? Imposition of compassion cannot work. We can fake for some time, but the real compassion is feeling the other's feeling. feeling the other's feeling, be it good or bad. If it is sadness, we feel sad about others. So what is the mechanism, the psychological mechanism that is into the play? The mechanism is we see ourselves in that situation and we see that situation as my situation and we feel the similar pain, then we feel the compassion. So the steps are seeing myself in that person's situation and mentally experiencing that situation for me and feeling the similar kind of responses as compassion. Try and understand dialectically. So think in this line for the compassion. So compassion is nothing but expansion of self, and which is very much incongruent with the law of unity that we practice. So imposed compassion is all the time faked. There is no reality about it. The next article is philanthropy, ethics, etc. Again ethics and the truth. So what do you understand by philanthropy? Philanthropy is act of helping others, right? Now, act of helping other. Okay, so there is a question from Tulika. Is wholesome food have more vitality, whole wheat? So the question is wholesome food have more vitality, whole wheat? Why do we refute it by giving reason like gluten, starch, etc.? Is it dialectical understanding as per nature cure? Okay, good that you asked this question. I got this question in between two topics because this is not relevant to the topics that we are discussing here. So here we must understand the wholesome food of whole wheat or grains or anything which is commonly called as gluten, starch, etc. Whether those are human food or not. Now practically those are not human food. Those are foods for rats and birds. They are the grain eaters. And their digestive system, actually their digestive system, if you look at, so from the food pipe, when the food comes, they have a pouch here before going to the stomach. So this is actually food pipe of birds, like this. So when they eat grain, that goes into this portion first. Then it gets fermented there. Then it gets fermented there. Then it gets transferred this way. So the battery of the pen went. So this way the food comes to this pouch, then it gets fermented, then it goes to the actual digestive system. Now this mechanism is missing in human digestive system. For this reason, the grains are not our food. Now, the grains are allowed in minimal quantity if it is not enhanced by its taste. That's very important. Because enhancement of taste, the human enhancement of the taste is a kind of bluffing ourselves according to the dialectical principles. And we understood the voice of the organism. So now that modification of any food by applying RAW at the primary stage. R is the fire, A is air, and W is water. So boiling, steaming and enhancing the taste by boiling and steaming is okay. For example, the starch category, potato. Potato cannot be consumed in its raw state. It cannot be enjoyed. But if you just boil it, you can enjoy it. Unless you spoil the calibration of the taste, you can just try it on a child. They love potato a lot. I see Mumtaj relishes her potato without anything. Just boil it and give it to her, she will finish it. So boiling is itself a taste enhancement, default evolved taste enhancement. So all the spices, salt is not the root of enhancing the taste. We need to understand this. Now, if we go for the consumption of these wholesome food, what you are talking about, the grains, that is allowed till the time you are not enhancing with the condiments. As simple as that. Right? So, okay, Nandini asked that gluten is a protein. See, the protein, I don't understand the term protein really. But what I understand is the concentrated food or not. If that is the question, then you need to go back to the thumb rule that the concentrated food should grow as a life if supported. The concentrated, you can note down, the concentrated food should grow as a life if supported. So you can note it down. Somehow the pencil is not working. So yeah, so the concentrated food I am writing commonly called protein should grow as a life. This is very important. Right. So yeah, figs are dehydrated food. You know, these are not concentrated category. Minu asks that dry fruits, figs, etc. So dry fruits are categorized into two segment. One is the dehydrated fruit and other is the concentrated category. So like almond is a concentrated category. If you just if you try to sow an almond, it can be sprouted also. So it will come out as a plant. So that means the life is inside. Whereas the dehydrated fruits will not have the life inside. So we need to understand that, right? So if the concentrated foods are being consumed, it has to be consumed in less quantity. Should not go beyond 5% of the total meal. Right. So let's proceed with the articles. So, do you understand philanthropy? Philanthropy is a knack of helping others, and that knack is glamorized often. Yeah, so dry fruits. Minu asked that dry fruits come under fruits. So it comes under foods if you soak it for around 6 to 7 hours, 5 to 6 hours at least, with water, clean water. Then it can be consumed in larger quantity. But if it is a dried form, then it is again a toll on the vitality. We need to understand that. So any dry fruits, you need to soak it in water to make it soften, so that the load on the vitality is lesser. Right? So, so now philanthropy is a term which is glamorized often. The altruistic philanthropy I am talking about. Now, when I say this, I get these kind of questions, 3 questions. Did the great people of the world sacrifice their lives under the pressure of ethics? Many of them had untimely deaths too. It means they did not do it by default, but out of their intentional choices. Don't you think those acts of self-sacrifice were needed for the world? Yes. So there comes the word sacrifice. This is very dangerous word. Why should we sacrifice ourselves? Why should we sacrifice ourselves? Because for our own need, we need very less. If we sacrifice that for some mission, then will that mission be served? So here the sacrifice is not just giving away the man-made wealth, because those are all assumption-based achievements. Now, sacrifice means giving my life. If it is accidentally happen, then it's fine. But if it is consciously happening, then it is nothing but suicide. We should find out the way to preserve ourselves first, then help others. And we should do it if we enjoy it. And if we enjoy it, we cannot term that as sacrifice. Let others, the perceivers, may term it, but the individual should not claim that as sacrifice ever. Then it's a public assumption about sacrifice if it is not sacrificed by the individual. Why should we bother about these assumption-based explanations? Yeah, many of them had untimely deaths. I don't deny that. But that untimely death, if it is chosen, then it is stupidity. There is no glamour about it. Yeah, network issue, Minu, Rakhi. How is the reception here? No, this is going perfectly fine here. It's an optical fiber connection, and they advertised a lot and guaranteed a lot about the stability of the network, and so far it's happening so good. I'm really motivated. Okay, now fine. So the last question was, don't you think those acts of self-sacrifice were needed for the world? The stress was on the world. Answer is, I don't know. I don't know. Really, I don't know. Because of, at the first place, the word self-sacrifice is confusing. Why one will sacrifice himself? What is the assumption behind? We need to go specifically, case by case, analyzing that. And if we understand that the individual thought it is a sacrifice, then it is an irrational thinking pattern of that individual. Unless you enjoy it, don't do it. And if you enjoy it, there is no question of sacrifice. So all these impositions of philanthropy, altruism is a kind of assumption-based approach. We need not to succumb to that. So read that article, Acts and Results, the distinct existences, topics are there. Yeah, so now why should we do something new to bring change? So what is this change? So all these stories of sacrifice or bringing change in the world, all these are, if we explain and just try to understand in a self-directed approach, then it is nothing but intention to bring change. Now, intention to bring change is nothing but intention to bring something new, which is nothing but creativity. And as we understood, in a neutral state, without any negative push or a positive, which is a masked negative pull of doing something good or great, if we stay neutral, then this thing happens, the creativity. You'll never know from where that push is coming, and that is what is the emergence, you can say, and that is what is the vitality conservation you attain. So because of that flowing of the vitality, you will end up doing a lot of creative things which will benefit the world as a byproduct. You need not to bother for that. If you aim for that, then you will spoil yourself. You just need to maintain your neutrality. The magic happens. And enjoy it without confusing people. Yeah, untimely death needs to be understood actually. Yeah, there is a contextual question. Yeah, I expect that actually. One more question. Ethics and truth can be innervating sometimes in context with the environment we stay. Ethics and truth. Yeah, ethics and truth. So is it a question, Vikrant? Can you retype the question? I couldn't understand, couldn't comprehend the question exactly. It's a statement, and which is, I find no problem in that. SP says that creativity comes with a calm and poised mind. Yes, the neutrality. Absolutely. Yeah, we were talking about the untimely death. Now, the untimely death is something that again is a perceiver's interpretation. Happy or unhappy, that matters for a death. If you are dying early age and happy about it, it's fine. It is not untimely. So I'm not proposing about the suicidal attempts, because it's a depressed attempt of death, but it is the acceptance of death what I am talking about. If you are happily accepting your death, then it is a happy death. And timely, untimely, it's a human interpretation. So the next topic is what to do versus what not to do. I think we have discussed on this topic repeatedly. So yeah, child's mind, actually on the mind management section we'll revisit this. Why this particular what to do versus what not to do is emphasized again and again, because that has got a tremendous impact on our mind. If we talk about to do things more, our mind will be occupied with that, and slowly and gradually we'll start ignoring the not to do things. That's the beauty. Just experiment with a child. Just ask child to not to go outside. He will be crying to go outside. If you propose, let's play inside, she will be very happy to play inside. But the instructions, the outcome of the instruction is the same, that you wanted the child to stay inside. Now, the moment you put a restriction, the mind gets an attraction there. The moment you propose a solution, mind gets attracted there too. So, and we all are children actually in our mind. Our mind is our own child. So we need to deal with it with the feeding of to do things. Yeah, so we talked about the truth. Let me see that. Yeah, there was actually a question about egg recommendation. A few of the nature cure practitioners actually recommend eggs as diet. But I personally don't find it's a very valid recommendation. So their dialectic is it's a concentrated food and can be consumed in its raw state, and that would act as good as nuts, right? So I find it's non-dialectic in terms of the voice of the organism, because the raw eggs are not really enjoyable. I'm not talking about any ethics here, the life and all those stuff, but is it enjoyable really? If I'm wrong in understanding that, I'm ready to correct myself. But still now, I'm not convinced that the raw egg, the smell of the raw egg and the taste of the raw egg without any condiments is very much enjoyable. So that's one understanding actually, and it's definitely a choice ultimately. And moreover, that eggs are actually nowadays the eggs are not natural eggs also. That's another problem. Okay, Vikrant rephrased his question that being ethical and sticking to truth can be problematic sometimes, eating our energy as we have to maintain relationships. So yeah, Vikrant, I understand from where you are coming to this. So we need to be specific on the subject here, because this question is kind of hypothetical. If you share with an example, I can I can respond to that. So what you can do, you can actually do this through WhatsApp, and in the evening session I'll try and respond to that. So guys, we are done with all other topics of today, other than this one topic, which is why is an act of evil an illusion. So it has got 3 parts. Yeah, Nandini says that yes, Vikrant, sometimes some relationships drain our vitality and we get diseased. So I oppose this, because relationships cannot drain you unless you allow. So your self-directed approach is only draining you. So that's an assumption that the particular relationship is draining us. We need to understand it dialectically. Right. So I'll take a 2 minutes break. All of you also can go for, because it's already 1.5 hours. And after that I'll start this. This will take another 20 minutes or so to discuss about why is an act of evil an illusion. So I'll join back. Thank you. Do let me know when you guys are available. staying attentive is very much important to enhance our understanding. So that's why we should take a break also in between, because it's a 1.5 hour class already. So do let me know if you need more break. We can talk about something else also, like what we are planning at SciSolution is we are going to resketch all the courses starting next year, and this will be named as Nature and Life level 1 and level 2, and we'll try to have shorter duration course. So at the first phase we are planning for 4-day courses. So 4-day courses will be available online and offline both. And in January we are planning for an online camp. So when I say camp, that means it will not be limited to just 2 sessions as you guys are experiencing. It will be day-long engagement, and with breaks of 1 hour, 2 hour. There will be repeated sessions day long. So that will be typically 3 days course, and with the first day being one-to-one interaction. So the first day will be dedicated for allocated times for the one-to-one interactions, and then next 3 days will be this basically understanding the aspects of nature and life. And we are bringing the in-person version also, and we are starting it in the month of February. In Agra there will be a camp. So from 14th to 17th of February there will be a camp. So those who are planning to join the camp, they can block the calendar 14th to 17th at Agra. And just so you know, Agra every year has this Taj Mahotsav, starts on 18th of February till 27th of February. So those who wish to visit Agra, they are welcome. They can stay with us for first 4 days, and then they can enjoy Taj Mahotsav and go back. So that's just some information I wanted to share. And another information for the people, those who are in Delhi, there is a conference. Actually, last time Nandini came also to IIT Delhi in a conference to attend a workshop. So I'm going to conduct the same workshop in IIT Delhi this year also, and I'm privileged to have a stage space in the main stage also, in the plenary. So I'll be having a plenary speech on 20th morning, and then 20th consecutive 2 workshops for the teachers and the principals. So there will be around 500 teachers, principals gathering for the conference. So I'll be presenting on vitality education. So those who are interested to join that workshop at IIT Delhi can just message me personally. We'll try to arrange some passes for you, right? So yeah, video is not working. Yeah, Nandini is saying that she will be there. Okay, Meenu, your video is not working. Maybe the data, if you are using the hotel Wi-Fi, then the data is blocked, could be. So you can watch the recordings, no issue. You can just start reading, because this is already there on the Facebook page. So you can start reading and you will get the assignments in due time. Right. Who and all are here to attend the illusion part, or are you feeling that you can go through on your own? So 1 is we can end the session right now, and 2 is I should give some intro about the illusion, why we are calling that evil is an illusion. So just respond one or two. One is ending the session right away, and two is little intro about the concept. In any way, you are given with the articles to go through. Okay. SP says little intro. So 3 details, not intro. Raki says 3. Okay, so we are getting intro request. So we'll go ahead with the intro. Any other votes for 1? Vidyut 2. So we'll go ahead with the 2. And those who are thinking that the 1 is the better option, they can actually watch the recordings also later on, and they can go out of this class and start reading. As this is a full-time course, this is not a part-time, full-time online course. No excuses. Yeah. So why is an act of evil is an illusion? This is a kind of shock when I propose this particular statement. Any act of evil, any act of evil is an illusion. To understand this, we need to understand the categories of evil. Any act of evil you pick up, any act of evil, from stealing, raping, or slapping, or whatever, the corruption, anything, everything will fall into these categories that we are going to unfold. So categories of evil we need to understand first, to understand the gravity of this statement that all the evils are illusions. So the first category is the revenge category. The revenge category, which is made out of revenge. Out of revenge means the understanding of the individual is that I am doing this to take a revenge. I am doing this act. So just think about the perception of the individual who is initiating an evil. The first category is he will do that act thinking that he is taking a revenge. Right? And the second category is the knowledge category. The knowledge category means the person doing that evil thinking that it is good. It is good act. So the first category is being acted as knowing that it is an evil, but I am doing it for the revenge. Because I think that that person should get this. So that revenge category also includes the excuses that we give for the evil. So I'll just give you some examples, because without example understanding will be little difficult. So there are two doctors, medicine practitioners. The first one is practicing medicine as a profession, but practicing nature saint life in personal life. So in nature saint life, he knows or she knows that the medicine is an evil, but professionally he is practicing that. He is giving some excuses of profession, livelihood, and all those stuff. But here is a confusion. The confusion is the nature sync life or nature cure life, whatever you call it, is not just the food, is not just the exercise. Majorly, it is the thought pattern. And if you lack integrity in your thought and action, you are not following nature cure lifestyle. You are not following nature synced lifestyle. Is that loud and clear? Because the individual is actually spoiling his own health more than anything else. The person who is coming to take his service as medical practitioner is on their own. They have the options to opt for that service or not. He is not pressing it, he is just selling it. But this person who is doing it non-congruently with his thought and action is spoiling his health more than anybody else. And this applies to the revenge category. If somebody is taking revenge, suppose that for example, if somebody is somebody killed my beloved person, actually killed, and I am up to kill that person, this is the revenge category. Killing a person is an evil. It's a non-violent act because we are programmed to see ourselves in others, and that me is being killed by me. If that is happening, this is an evil. No doubt about it, this act. And it is initiated because of that revenge thought pattern, that I need to take this revenge. The mindset of a person who is up to take revenge will never be satiated. Will never be satiated. Whatever the revenge gravity is there, maybe the mind will be unsatiated. No, it could be much more. This way of death is not the correct way of revenge. It should be something else. Some more horrible death should be there. So that's a kind of thought pattern of the revenge mind. So end of the day, if I am up to revenge, I am actually spoiling my health and happiness more than the person who I am going to kill. So this is what is the revenge category. Now the knowledge category is another medical practitioner who is practicing medicine and consuming medicine. So there is no conspiracy, there is no misalignment in the thought and action. What he thinks, he practices. Right? The problem is in the knowledge. He perhaps is not aware that that route is not a right route to help people. That route is a kind of limited initiative to help people. The moment he will realize it, he will come back to the right profession of helping people health-wise also. So it's a tweaking about the knowledge. And I have seen many examples that they were medical practitioners. The moment they realized, they switched back their profession. So these two categories are the primary buckets of act of evil. We need to understand. So here actually another problem that we suffer from is illusion of money. So if a professional is saying that no, I know this has got some evil impact, but I am doing it for money. This is again that revenge category. and the revenge category is also kind of subset of knowledge category. Because of the lack of understanding of the gravity of this lack of integrity, the individual opt that. So money is a facility arranger. There is no denial about that. But a profession, when you take a mission of the life, then it should have some kind of valid dialectical proposition. Money should be a byproduct in the process. So this deeper understanding, because if you take about the capitalistic approach, capitalism is not about the money, it is about the value. How it is being practiced, that's a different case. Because here we are not to discuss about the malpractices. So if there is a value transaction, then we are up for the value. So illusion of money is a knowledge problem. Is a knowledge problem. Money can be earned, money can be arranged if you have deeper understanding of your objective. There is no problem of the money in this universe because it's a human created substance. It's not a natural substance. It's an illusion. If we work on the objective of value addition to myself, who I see in others, it's a self-directed approach. If that is the understanding, then money becomes a byproduct in the process. It will flow like anything. So we need to work on that actually. So ultimately, it narrows down to the limitations of access, and that's very critical aspect, To correct a person, you cannot opt to an evil act to correct a person. If you see a revenger and suffering from that problem in the understanding, and you resort to an evil, right now actually there were discussion about the relationship and what was the term? Drain our vitality. Nobody can drain our vitality other than we. Because this is a cognitive exercise that we have to opt for the vitality conservation as far as the thought patterns are concerned. We are not confined there. In our mind, we are not confined there. There are examples, I don't want to quote anybody's name dialectically, but there are examples, people were in jail but wrote beautiful novels which are treasures for the literature. People planned for the revolution and brought change after getting out of the jail. So jail is a confinement, physical confinement. It's not a mental confinement. So it's up to us how we perceive and how we act on our thoughts. So here we need to understand the gravity of the words, because the words play havoc on our thought creation. So we need to be very conscious about choice of the words when we give it to ourselves. So we give words to ourselves to create thoughts and vice versa. So we need to understand this complex connection between words and thoughts. So terming anything evil is a shallow interpretation because we could not go deeper to explore the kind of evil act is it. If we go deeper, we'll find that no, this is a knowledge problem. This is not an evil act. So that ends the part 1 of this particular. Yes, Nandini nicely mentioned that yes, human mind is free unless it chains itself. Yes, absolutely. Now the next part is about the freedom. So you can actually read that, and we discussed that the freedom is cannot be, the mind cannot be caged, you know, the way the picture shows. And yeah, so sort to some action, right? And let's discuss about those actions dialectically. So there could be three blockage of the freedom for the evil person. The first is the ban. We start banning. We start banning the things. We start banning the food even. But it never gets succeeded. The main problem is banning cannot be supervised properly for its execution. I repeat, banning in a public space, banning cannot be supervised for its execution, which is a falsified assumption, a falsified initiative if it is banned. We know this liquor was banned, is still, I suppose, banned in one of the states in India. But there you go, you'll find ample of liquors. Then a few days back, that meat ban was also proposed. So there is no scarcity of the meat around. So this banning never works in reality. Where banning works? If it is a private space. If it is a private space, for example, at my home, I ban smoking. Absolutely. Because it's my private space and it's a structured imposition of the ban which can be supervised properly, which can actually help me get some benefits. So the health benefits. I'm not banning anybody to smoke. I am banning the smoking at my place, which might create nuisance for my health and my montage health. So that's my primary interest. So that banning is somewhat acceptable in a private space, in a structured way, where the banning can be supervised. But the public banning isn't just a political gimmick or a kind of assumption that we have solved the problem. Unless the knowledge is targeted, unless the knowledge is corrected, unless the awareness is brought, the things can never change. We need to understand this gravity. This is another misunderstanding, that death penalty can solve the problem. It never. The correction is a critical aspect. And enforced death cannot solve it. So ultimately, awareness is the route to cure. Suppression is not. Suppression will not have the benefit of relishing the actual output of cure. So the same way, we need to convince. We should not control whatever the evil we may perceive, because when we opt for controlling the evil, we innervate ourselves. So it should be self-directed, that the evil, curbing the evil can be solved by correcting the awareness, which cannot come out of the control. So this is very important to understand. Now let's see the third part. Third part is the most important part to understand. So all this proposition is self-directed. The objective of this proposition, that evil is an illusion, is having this goal: individual health management. So here we are not proposing any societal change. Societal change is a different ball game altogether. Here we are assembled to correct our health state. So this has to be perceived. This particular article needs a contemplation with this particular aim, keeping in mind individual health management. Yes, the difference between the conscious and the beyond conscious is understood, and the words, impact of the words comes from the conscious to the beyond conscious. We understood this. More you'll find in the article itself. Then it's a question, then is good also an illusion? If evil is an illusion, so the kind of imposed good that we perceive, that we term, is also negative and evil. And evil already we have understood that it's an illusion. It's an illusion, it's a perception, it's an interpretation. So good is also not out of the scope. As I say often, that a plant cannot grow if you pull it. If you push it, it will not grow for sure. So the imposed positive or negative, both are the same, two sides of the same coin. So what is an illusion? Illusion is an aspect which gives a false impression. It's a created impression, right? Then should we not seek justice? What is justice? Is justice a revenge or a correction? Is a revenge or a correction? For example, a rape victim seeking for justice is an illusion. For herself or himself, it is an illusion. I am talking about the intention wise. If the rape is a societal problem, then the law and order should take its own decision that way. But the individual, the victim, how should she perceive it? First of all, she has got some physical injury. The psychological injury is a created assumption, is an assumption. It's not her fault to get raped. Why should she feel bad psychologically? The individual should be counseled for this aspect, this reality. It's a problem of the rapist who has some irrational thought pattern, and because of what he or she had done some act of so-called evil. So that victim needs to be counseled and appraised for her physical recovery, number one, and the secured psychological environment. That it is not your fault. Why should you bother? And revenge will not fetch her any good, because that's again an unsatiated state. We need to understand the gravity of this issue. And as far as the correction of that evil person is again coming back to that knowledge category. That person is having a lack of understanding of sense of sex and perceived act of sex as whole of it and acted this. So he needs to be or she needs to be appraised about this understanding. What do you mean about justice? Isn't it an initiative of the correction? I'm sure this question can come, that if you are impacted badly, how can you blind yourself? So I'm not talking about blinding ourselves. I'm talking about going deeper on the aspect of the impact, the interpretation of the impact. A rape victim is not impacted at all unless it is imagined. It is not a problem of the victim. Why that victim will perceive that I am impacted other than that physical injury? It's just an accident. If we talk about that rape victim example. So we need to think deep on this aspect. So am I saying that we should not have any knowledge of evil then? We need not to be proactive to be knowledgeable about evil. That comes by default. You need not to do anything. And always interpretation of the evil will be one-sided. It cannot have a kind of, if we are terming it evil, then it is not a holistic perception. Whatever portion we touch, we feel that that particular substance looks like that touch. If it is a tail, then it is an arrow. If it is a legs, then it is a pillar. But it is an elephant overall. So I am not talking about blinding ourselves, but I am talking about going deeper into the aspects before taking an action. And that action should not innervate us in any way. That action should be self-directed. So all these stories are nothing but illusions of evil that we perceive, and somehow we convince ourselves, yeah, evil exists. And the question is, how can the knowledge be acquired without involvement? That is the beauty of the expansion of self. If we expand ourselves to the person who we contribute the knowledge, we will be able to understand that person well, and we will be able to connect with that person well, and then the knowledge can be transmitted. The information can be transmitted rather, and knowledge can be acquired by the individual. Unless we understand that side of the perception, we cannot go for providing some new information. That's what is the knowledge contribution that we make. So contemplate on that. The last question, then if something is happening bad, done or impacted, whatever, should we not correct it? We should correct it. But the next question comes, how the correction can be done or guaranteed? Are you giving guarantee that this act of revenge or justice or punishment will correct the evil? That may suppress the evil for that moment. But what about the cure? And here we don't talk about suppression. We don't promote about suppression. We understand suppression is a kind of momentary adjustment. So we should go for correction, but that's a critical, poised decision. Case to case, it should be unique. So we are all up for correction, but the correction is a complex entity that needs a lot of neutrality and poise to initiate. With that, I end today's session on philosophy, and we'll reassemble at 6 p.m. Let me see if some questions are there. I'm programmed to see myself in others. Please elaborate. Yeah, Rakhi, I'm programmed to see myself in others is an act of cognitive growth. So that specific topic actually will be covering on day after tomorrow under the mind management, how the expansion of self can be a strategized program and how it is congruent with the natural program. This is very interesting, and that's the main aspect of the mind management, and maybe a route to enlightenment also. Strategic enlightenment, not a magic. Justice is a balance. Actually, courts are redundant, only mediation is the key. Nandini says, crime is an offense against society. Please comment. Crime is an offense. So this is again a kind of hypothetical statement, Nandini. Crime is an offense against society. Just pick up a single act of crime that you are terming. We can go for explanation. So we'll continue that on the WhatsApp and then followed by evening discussion. I'm sure a lot of questions are coming to your mind. Just shoot it on the WhatsApp or the Facebook group, wherever you can, and we'll continue this discussion, because this needs particular specified examples that you are terming as crime, because I have taken a couple of criminal offenses, criminal act, extreme. I've taken some examples. So that also could be explained in a dialectical route and could be actually taken up individually for a better vitality management. That has been explained. So now here we are not assembled to correct the society. Here we are assembled to correct ourselves. Just keep in mind this aspect before putting your question. Right? So there is no question that I see. Let's do the silence for 1.5 minutes, and by that time if some question comes, I'll address that. Right, guys? So we'll reassemble at 6 p.m. in the evening. Thank you.